I always say that I fell into the field of public health by luck. When I was in college, I was set up with a faculty member at the University of Miami School of Medicine who was doing research trying to understand why African Americans had an increased risk of developing hypertension that would lead to kidney disease. And as part of my role in this unpaid internship, I spent a lot of time in Jefferson Reeves meeting patients and hearing about their lived experiences and their difficulties accessing healthcare, particularly cancer prevention. And it sparked inspiration. I knew that that was the space where I wanted to work and that ultimately I wanted to return home to Miami to do that work with the community that had given me so much personally. I believe that my purpose is my passion. And for me, I feel extraordinarily privileged to get to do work with communities that gets us closer to the promise of health equity. And I draw a lot of energy from what we inspire and accomplish collaboratively. Health equity is the idea that all people have the chance to achieve optimal health. The work that we're doing with Health Foundation for South Florida is really unique because they gave us the resources to support pairing community-based organizations with university faculty who want to pursue a shared interest. And by working together, we're enhancing both the capacity of the faculty member to address common concerns about research that exist in communities and affect our ability to make progress in science. And it allows community stakeholders to recognize the importance of the questions that they have and strategies by which we answer those questions with necessary rigor. So I'm a community-based participatory researcher, which basically is a long way of saying that I do community-engaged science and believe very strongly that in order to answer questions about health disparity, that community stakeholders who are experiencing that disparity need to in fact be at the table. And we need to marry academic expertise with local community knowledge to derive meaningful research questions that can ultimately lead to health and social change. Miami is the future of the United States. Our multicultural and linguistic diversity provides a tremendous landscape by which to examine disparities and appreciate heterogeneity and disease risk and outcome. There's no place else that I feel I could do this work because, one, it's unique, and two, because I know it intimately. This is the place where I grew up, and yes, Miami has changed pretty dramatically since the 80s. I've been part of that change. I've been riding the wave of opportunity, and I feel lucky to be in a place that I call home and can draw inspiration from in defining my own research and meeting community partners with whom to work collaboratively. So I think anytime you want community members and academics to work together, one of the biggest challenges is actually finding a common language to come up with the shared ideas that ultimately becomes the focus of the work that they're going to do together. Jackson Health System is a big partner in this work. So we started something called the Oneness Initiative about a year and a half ago. Oneness was a term coined by my friend Don Steigman, who at the time was the vice president of Jackson. And what Oneness is intended to inspire is Jackson and University of Miami working together to achieve health equity, to be the tide that rises all ships for the South Florida community. And we shared our vision with the Health Foundation for South Florida, which ultimately I think planted the seed that led to this funding. And so we can't do this work without Jackson, and we're so grateful to have them alongside us, working shoulder by shoulder, because health equity is not a finish line that any of us will cross alone. And I think it starts at an individual level, but it also involves making change in social determinants and other risk factors at a level above the individual. And so in order to accomplish that, you need not just scientists and community members, you need policymakers, you need educators, you need community funders like the Health Foundation for South Florida. We all need to be together. We need to marry our resources and intellect and derive solutions that could be sustainable and reproducible. We want South Florida to be the model for the rest of the country. Overtown is our neighbor. In fact, we are located in Overtown. And so leadership at the university and the Jackson Health System believe strongly that we have an obligation to be a good community partner to the community where we're located and that we serve. And so it made sense that we would use the Health Foundation investment to really try to enhance the capacity of Overtown to participate in research that could lead to mutually beneficial impact. The reentry program is a partnership between faculty in the Department of Sociology, Catherine Nowotny, and the Department of Corrections. And their goal is to successfully facilitate the reentry of formerly incarcerated persons into the community. I love Health Foundation of South Florida's vision for a healthier South Florida. And it's not just a vision, it's something that they do. Health Foundation provides resources to many organizations, including the University of Miami, that enable us to be the best version of ourselves. Health equity is one of the pillars of the University of Miami, and what Health Foundation of South Florida has done is further formalize our commitment to being a leader in this space and working with community partners whose ideas will ensure that we focus our energy on the right topics. My hopes for the symposium are that we bring together diverse stakeholders, from community members to scientists to leaders from foundations such as the Health Foundation for South Florida to policymakers. And together we brainstorm opportunities to create a healthier Miami-Dade County. I think it's important for people to know what I do because maybe it then inspires them to do something similar. I think we're just at the beginning, right? I think we're like at the tip of an iceberg. And I'm hoping that what we learn over the course of the funding period gives us the ability to innovate on the next step. I like to think of public health as creating the conditions in which all people can be healthy. So the Park Health Hub is a collaboration between Urban Health and the University of Miami to evaluate parks and the services that they provide in terms of creating opportunities for health, particularly in underrepresented communities. And then, given the importance of this work, the Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center has matched the Health Foundation for South Florida's investment and is focusing on a project looking at diet and nutrition in a food desert, such as Overtown, to figure out how to provide individuals optimal access to healthier foods that we know are associated with a lower risk of cancer and other chronic conditions. A leader means showing up. A leader means making tough decisions. And a leader, for me, means making choices that are connected to my values. And my values are embedded in the communities that I serve and my commitment to being part of the change that they so very much deserve and desire to get them closer to the possibility of health equity. And that's why it's great to work with communities, because in communities we put aside the politics, we roll up our sleeves and we do the work. Because when underrepresented communities are healthier, so are the rest of us. Health equity is everybody's issue.